is Wicked Spursy, Mike, Steve, and a nice cold can of Brian from Rhode Island, who is not physically here, but
That's
I've got
never gonna
his
not be funny.
I've got his drink handy, and you know what? When I ingest this, it's like a little bit of Brian is inside of me, and that makes me feel good.
You know, all innuendos aside.
Well, anyway, Mike, how are you doing?
Not bad, Steve. Got outside today, did some yard work. Um,
In the
you know,
yard.
yeah, in the yard. Basically, got the old lawn tractor going again. Hooked it up to the wagon and went around the lawn picking up sticks and such.
And you were able to do that despite what I imagine is mostly mud.
Yeah, there was a lot of there's a lot of mole hills. I have a lot of land and like it's the grub controls and impossible. So we get a lot of moles and we also get a lot of skunks. So I have to go out there and get some grub control down, but that won't be happening until it gets a little warmer. But I mean, it was squishy in parts, but it wasn't that bad. I was just kind of driving around. There's a big old pine tree that came down. That's gotta be cut up here, and there's a bunch of things that have to be done, and I wasn't willing to do it today.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you how I'm doing, but I need to grab onto this segue. Speaking of things that are squishy at parts, we have Tottenham Hotspur to talk about, and that's on account of two performances this week in which, yeah, I think squishy at parts is probably like the nice way of talking about how they performed. So we had a 1-0 loss at Chelsea, um, which perpetuated that ridiculous notion that there is a curse. And then we had a 3-1 win today against Southampton, relegating them to the championship, which apparently that's the worst performing team in the league in history. So that's fun
Ever,
for
yeah,
them. Yeah. So
yeah.
let's start with Chelsea, Mike. What would you make of that game in particular?
So Chelsea beat us at Stamford Bridge. The I don't know. It's the cursed Stamford Bridge. Um, I don't know how else to say it. Like Spurs can't seem to win there. Um, I don't think that there's any kind of a curse. I don't think that there's any kind of nasty ghosts that are there that stop Tottenham Hotspur from winning. I think what stopped Tottenham Hotspur from winning at Chelsea was
Was Tottenham
Tottenham
Hotspur?
Hotspur.
Yep.
Um, it wasn't,
Absolutely.
and it wasn't just in we're. I, I'm gonna go ahead and blame Ange, but it was also kind of on the players too. Like there's a spot that we're in right now where um it the league doesn't mean much, right? I mean, Chelsea wasn't in good form. Tottenham wasn't in good form. The Chelsea kind of tested our defense throughout the entire match. And despite some
And honestly,
opportunities,
they
like
should have been up too. They had some
it,
abysmal finishing on their hand.
oh yeah. We're lucky that their finishing was shit. Um, and in the end, like there's not much other to say, but except like Papsar had actually what was a beautiful finish. Off the ground, low and off the ground. Um, Impossible for the keeper to get to. Unfortunately, he kicked the defender in the knee before he took the ball from him, which in my mind, red card all the way. I mean, at first it was like, yeah, that's definitely a yellow card, take the goal away. But like that's that's a goddamn boot right to the knee. Any lower, and it's definitely a red card.
Yeah, which
So,
is kind of ridiculous. That whole sequence to me was absurd. Yes, it was a clear and obvious foul. The goal should have come back. But what's frustrating for me is how long it took for VAR to come to the conclusion that, hey, you know what? Goal, no goal. Or no, they even recommended him to review it, right? So
yeah.
the on the field ref went over and looked at it, and even he took extra time to think about it. And I'm just sitting here as a referee myself, uh, you know, like that to me is clear and obvious. It's like I don't understand how the Premier League handles situations like this. Like if you watch an MLS match, which it's not exactly the pinnacle of VAR use, in my opinion, but what they do a lot of things right, and one of those things is there's a threshold for clear and obvious, and if it meets that, great, and if it doesn't, then okay, move on. On field decision uh, is just what they're going to go with, and there's a lot of instances where I feel like if you can't come to a decision in 30, maybe 60 seconds as to whether or not there was an error, there was a foul in the buildup, there was an offside. If it's not that clear and obvious, the on field decision should stand because there's absolutely no reason that people should stand around for what was it today, 4 minutes and 50 seconds where they were
Yeah.
trying to dick around with the offside lines before they came to a conclusion. I mean, look, that whole sequence with Sar, I saw it, you saw it. We were all sitting there like, yeah, that's not going to count. There's a clear foul. And then we still sat there waiting. And that I think is where the game as a whole gets frustrating to watch. And it kind of just sucks well, to be fair, Spurs performances have sucked the fun out of it long before VAR, but VAR certainly doesn't help.
Yeah. I mean, it in the end, 1-0 loss. I mean, kept us at like 16th in the league. League is done. These guys just at this point, I think they're trying to go out there, not get injured, so they can make a run in this Europa League because really that's all they've got left. They don't have even a run at any kind of European football coming up. But since you mentioned the VAR, we can move on to today's match.
Yeah, not much to say about Chelsea other than it was a snore fest. It was lethargic. It was uninspired. But you know what? I could say the exact same thing about the second half today. So let's move on to this one.
I mean, we can say the same thing. I mean, the entire game was kind of that way. The team was kind of lethargic, just kind of going. It seemed like they're just kind of going through the motions. It was getting a touch frustrating when it's still 0-0, right? And we're not scoring. Funny enough that our own AI, our own Wicked Spursy AI, is texting us right now when he was definitely invited to this podcast.
Classic Nicky Winks.
Classic Nicky Winks. And yes, Nicky Winks. The UConn women did just kick the shit out of South Carolina, and it warmed my heart because Don Staley is a whiny, complainative, hissy fit throwing coach that really acts like a child on the bench and gets after referees in a way that really only a couple of managers in the history of sporting have gone after referees, and I really cannot stand to watch her on the bench. Gino Auriemma gets his 13th title. So moving on from that.
I gotta say though, you can't bring up childish coaching and have us just skip over the incident, the one that's on everybody's mind following the Chelsea match, the ear cup from Ange. You know, a lot of people
I didn't
at
want
the
to say it.
time.
I mean, I was kind of tiptoeing around it.
Well, you know what? We're going there. We're going to talk about it. I'm sure it's been talked to death at this point, but we didn't give our opinion. And you know, we're two, you know, straight white men in America, so obviously we need to let the world know what's going on. That was a joke, people. Don't take me seriously. Um, but at the same time, you know, there were folks out there who were saying, yeah, he was definitely egging on the fans, and then he comes out and he says, "Oh, I was just looking for them to, you know, support the goal scorer," you know, whatever bullshit excuse he gave. What do you make of the whole situation?
Sorry, you caught me in the middle of eating
In the throes of eating.
one of these
This is
delicious Blue Diamond
Ooh.
blueberry flavored almonds.
Hey, do we have a almond sponsorship open,
We
by the
don't have
way?
a we do not we do have an almond sponsorship open, um, and I would love for Blue Diamond to contact the Wicked Spursy sponsorship department and jump on board
I'd
because
love
these
to get my hands on their nuts.
I'm sure you would. Um, they're nice
Look,
and
you
sweet
can't
as they're in
send it
my
up.
as they're in my mouth right now, moving around. The wave of flavors is coming at me.
Look, and
If you
what
haven't
other
actually, if you
Spurs
haven't had some of these
podcasts
flavored
out there?
almonds that Blue Diamond makes, I highly suggest the blueberry. I know it sounds weird, but it is all natural flavor. So,
Just
and
like me.
yeah, you are all natural, Steve.
It's
Um,
true. But what other
anyway,
Spurs podcast out there can pivot from ear cup gate to talking about some delicious nuts?
these nuts right here.
Exactly.
Um,
Which, by the way, should be our next coach for when Ange inevitably parts ways. Let's
so
go straight from Ange Postacoglu to D's nuts.
so anyway, yeah, we're at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today, right? And so, oh
You
no, you're talking about we were talking
skipping
about
ear
Ange.
gate, ear
We were talking
cup
about
gate.
Ange. We were talking about Ange ear cupping. So I don't care about the excuses. I mean, he was doing what he was doing, and it was obvious what he was doing. He has had a contentious relationship with the fans. Uh,
Only recently, though. I mean,
I don't know, dude. There were times last year too, but like, yes, mostly this season. He has a little bit of an issue with being able to handle criticism, and he hasn't had to approach that much in his tenures in other places. Um, so I mean, we didn't really know much about him coming in. We obviously didn't know that he was going to turn into Antonio Conte. Um,
and as much as it pains me to say, at least Conte had us higher up the table.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like obviously it feels and it seems like dead man walking because today again until we scored that first goal, which was a nice goal. I mean, Brennan Johnson does what he does, right? Brennan Johnson is great at moving into space, running in from behind and making those, like, he finishes very nicely every single time. He's got 14 goals in all competitions this year. Brennan has had a pretty successful season. I mean, for Brennan, especially his 50th goal of his Premier League career, which is, it's nothing to scoff at, right? And it took 13 minutes to get there, though. And for me, the team came out lethargic. They were kind of just going through the motions, a lot of kicking the ball around. There wasn't a lot of tactical stuff going on out there. It just seemed like they were having a kick around and using the least of whatever skill that they have to beat a team that was basically down and out from the beginning. I really think the highlight of this for me was the 5-minute VAR, because it was the one thing that we had to talk about, on the WhatsApp chat. So we didn't really have much until Matty Tell decided to take the ball away from Brennan. But I don't think that they necessarily disagreed on that. It was all about getting Matty Tell a goal in the his first goal in the Premier League. But
Yeah, it's wild to me. Like you see some videos on social media of Brennan after the match looking upset, and Sonny going out to console him, and like I don't know that we can be putting these words in his mouth. I'm sure he's just happy to have scored and won a game. Granted, I think there would have been riots in the stadium if we lost to Southampton, this Southampton team. Um, but you know we're at that stage, I think, in Ange's tenure where any little thing from negative body language to lethargic play, it's going to reflect back on him. And I got to ask this, Mike, because it's something that I've been pondering as well, because we've seen it a few times. How many managers have we had since Pochettino left? Um, and the players do tend to bounce back when we get that new manager. Is this lethargy? Is this, you know, uncreative, uninspired ridiculousness that we're seeing the squad's way of protesting the manager? Like, do they feel protected? And if they just play poorly, they'll get a new coach? Like, what's going on with them?
no, I think that the coach probably and the team have a mutual agreement to part ways already. I think a lot of it has to do with Ange now knowing that he's like lame duck and he's just gonna not put a lot of energy into something that doesn't mean anything. I mean, there really
So
isn't much to talk about. This is a league game that didn't mean anything except for
it did to Southampton.
it did to Southampton. They are historically the worst team ever, right?
Sorry,
So
Southampton.
it really didn't mean anything for us. So we went, it's funny because I usually wait until after we record to listen um to Windy do his reaction. His reaction was like 15 seconds long today.
Yep,
He
there
was
was
like,
a
Brennan
bit.
Johnson scored. Brennan Johnson scored again. Matty Tell scored on a penalty. We will never talk about this match again. And then that was it. That was it. It was funny.
I
It
mean,
was
not
funny, but it was also telling, right? Because it's like it's a it's about how we were all feeling today, right? It was like watching a game, like a preseason match. Like, okay, what are they going to do? Let's go out there. Let's watch our favorite team. Let's support our favorite team. Um, but knowing that there's nothing really at the end of the rainbow for them here, um, other than maybe saving some legs or getting some legs out there, and getting some work in. That's going to support. Is going to support them on Thursday because they're really on Thursday. That really is something that
You know,
you know.
Mike, I'm really glad that you brought that up because that was a little bit of a sticking point for me during the second half. If you know at 2-0 that you are probably going to win that game, Southampton's just that bad. Everybody is out there on autopilot, trying not to get themselves injured, trying to conserve energy. Why do you wait so long to make some of these changes? Yes, we had two of them around the 55-minute mark, but we didn't see any more changes until 80 minutes and then 85 for Tell. There's absolutely, in my mind, no reason for these guys to continue to be out there if you're just going to, shut up shop and accept the result that comes in, and we did have a scare there at the end when they pulled one back. And there was a few moments where I thought, great, we're going to capitulate here. Um, but at the same time, like, some of these guys didn't need to be out there for so long. There are players who are more than eager to get some time out on the fields who probably aren't going to start on Thursday. Give it to them. I'm glad he pulled Sun when he did. I think that was important, matters as well. Um, Definitely important to preserve them. But players like Bernval, like Solanke, they should have come off way sooner, way sooner than they did. They didn't need to be out there for as long as they were. And Bergvall and Solanke, I highlight them in particular because they were working. I mean, Bergvall was out there. He was putting a whole ton of effort in. Solanke obviously getting involved from the front, using his strength, his speed when he could, trying his absolute hardest to get on the score sheet. And maybe that's why he stayed out for so long. Maybe Ange desperately wanted him to pick up an easy goal against easy competition. But at the same time, if it's not that important and you already pretty much have it buttoned up, just take him off and save him for Thursday. That's where you really need him to fire anyway. So I don't know. It just seemed ridiculous to me.
All right. Yeah, I agree. You got to get Ben Davis back out there. You got to get Archie Gray out there. There are players that got to get out there. I mean, they could have made a lot of those substitutions much earlier. You're absolutely right. Never did I even think about the substitutions or when they were going to come until they did, and I was like, okay, these are probably good substitutions to make. Maybe a bit late, like the Basuma substitution for Matters, smart. I mean, I think that like Matters actually had a pretty good game. He was kind of all over the field. He was dropping deep. I mean, he had to. He was dropping deep a lot, defending. Bentancur.
At the same time, though, he was one of the guys who always looked to be making those incisive runs and, pulled the strings. And, I've been critical about him this season before, but, not for nothing. Today, he definitely showed that he wanted to absolutely bury them. And it just didn't feel like his teammates around him were on the same page. And I think even the commentary team called attention at one point to the fact that Madison was making some of these runs and moving in certain ways, and he just wasn't getting looked at.
Yeah.
Time and time again, he wasn't getting those looks. And then when he finally does, the pass is overplayed or it's, goes backwards because that's apparently what we need to do against Southampton. Play it back to Romero and Vicario and Davies.
It's been that way, and I feel like we're just beating a dead horse here, but like,
what else is there to do this season?
Yeah, we are beating a dead Ange. We're just it seems like that's what we're doing right now. I mean, what do we have that we were sitting here before the podcast going, what are we going to talk about? Something will come. Because unlike other podcasts, and here's a little behind the scenes stuff that you guys don't know about Wicked Spursy. You can probably hear it in the production value, but we don't have a running order. We just kind of come on here and talk. It's just one of those things we do. And this is this is the same conversation that Steve and I would have. We're sitting down at the bar at the old Two Boot Saloon.
Which is, by the way, that is the name of a bar in town. So
it really is the name of a bar in town. It is nothing like the Old West. It is nothing like the Old West. It looks like an American Legion hall that, or a bingo hall that's been had a couple of coats of paint slapped on it, and
then some beer spilled over it.
So.
But you know what? That was kind of the point of us setting this thing up, right? Like we knew we probably weren't going to be, in the top tier of all Spurs pods, but we wanted to just do something that was fun, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why, after how many seasons now, we keep coming back to this because it's just it's fun for us to get together and talk. And, I've heard from, friends before who have listened that they really enjoy the banter and listening to the conversation, but you're absolutely right. This is the same conversation that we'd be having at the bar. And that's kind of the point of the whole podcast is, we're not experts. We're not geniuses. Some of us aren't even, look at me, look at this.
Yeah. We're definitely not, we're not much to look at, are we?
Well, yeah, all right. Because you brought it up, I will share a funny story. So I was at the local grocery store picking up some beer the other day, And I do what I always do. I always take my driver's license out because, I used to work at a grocery store back in the day when I was a child. And so I know anybody who looks younger than 40, 50 years old, you card them every time. So I just always have my driver's license out ready to go. And I put it down, and the lady there, who must have been in her 50s or 60s at that point, she just looks at it, looks at me, and goes, "Oh, honey, I don't need that." I was like,
That's how you know you've made it in life, isn't it?
I think she could see in my eyes just how exhausted I was, and was just like, this is a man who has way too much going on in his life. And he
I don't even
clearly,
care if he's 21 at this point.
he
He looks
needs
it and he
that.
looks like he needs this.
Yep, pretty much. Yep. So that's my experience. Uh, it's always really fun when my sister visits too, because my sister's a year younger than me. And whenever we go out, I get carded, and then she inevitably doesn't. And so I'll be sitting there with my brother-in-law, both of us having been carded, and then she's the one who looks like she's the little teeny bopper underage trying to score a drink. And she just happens to be only a year younger than me. She just, she can't grow facial hair, so she looks young.
When I turned 21, like it was like one thing that I wanted, I wanted to be carded, and here I am. I was in Hawaii at the time, and I swear to God, I didn't get carded for 2 weeks. I didn't
They're
get
just like,
carded for two
yeah,
weeks.
you're
I
fine.
get I get back I get back to the mainland, and I didn't get carded again for like a month. And so finally I was just like, I actually asked somebody, "You need my ID?" And they were finally like, "Yeah, okay, sure." But I mean, it's just one of those things. Like when you're turned 21, you want to get carded. Now for me, like it's an imposition. I'm like, come on, seriously. And sometimes I'll take my hat off and be like, "You see this hairline? Like, come on." But yeah,
Oh
the
yeah.
hairline is contributed to by our very own Tottenham Hotspur.
That's what I think were some of the grays that I've got coming in. I think I can chalk that one up to Tottenham Hotspur as well.
Yeah, I mean, of course, of course. So getting back to Spurs here.
Oh
Um,
yes, I
yeah.
suppose we did kind
So
of get off track.
no, it's fine. It's fine. Like, what are the takeaways here? The game really meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. It ended our 5 streak winless match, or a match 5 match winless streak. Boy, my words are getting all jumbled today. Uh, um, Southampton gets relegated, earliest time in Premier League history with seven games left. Um, um, and in the end, like these performances kind of reflect Spurs like ongoing uh, efforts to find any kind of like consistency, as we get through like the latter parts of this season. Um, it may serve only to provide like maybe a little bit of a morale boost, or at the same time, like Chelsea, the loss of Chelsea kind of highlights like, hey, we still got these places that we need improvement, like these giant wide open gaps in the midfield that are created from us getting way too far forward when we're in an attacking mode, right?
And
um
then the players that can't recover for it.
right. I mean, even Mickey Van de Ven at this point, he can't take a chance of getting fucking injured again, right? So he's not gonna sprint back at full speed in a league game that's not really gonna mean anything. We're not getting relegated. We're not going to Europe. Our main goal here is what we laughed at last week, is probably to either finish above Man U or to finish above West Ham. Like that's our main goal, right?
I mean, honestly, at this point for me, our main goal is to just shake things up this summer. But yeah, until we get there, I guess we have to, tiptoe through some of these final matches. And you know what? Because this is another point that comes up. Well, if we win Europa League, maybe we should keep Ange. No, I don't think so. I think he's got to go one way or another. And I've been an Ange supporter since the beginning. I've forgiven him for the injuries. I've forgiven him for the fixture congestion. But when you don't have those things really impacting you and you're still putting that slop together, that's at this point inexcusable, right? This is a game where honestly we probably should have won it by more than we did, more comfortably than we did, and we still look at it like, okay, well, that was a game we played, and to Wendy's point, we don't have to talk about it again. Um, it's just uninspiring, and I know people are going to call out like, okay, well, who do you want, who's going to come in, who can turn the ship around? And for me at this point, it's not so much about turning the ship around, but providing some semblance of stability, like I and some of the names out there I think do just that, right? Like Thomas Frank's been at Brentford for a number of years now, and yeah, you know what, it's not the most exciting. It's certainly not a world changing name, but what world changing name are you going to get to come in and do anything here? I
You know
would
what? I don't even
rather.
care at this point. Like, have you seen the way Wrexham is playing? Bring in Phil Parkinson.
Look, I would
He just
rather
comes in
have
and
somebody.
drops fucking F bombs every other word. He
I'm
probably
fucking
smokes. He
saying.
probably smokes in the locker room. I mean, maybe we need that type of guy.
Look, if it's not going to be Brian from Rhode Island, I would at least want somebody who, knows the league, is capable of some semblance of tactical flexibility, and, doesn't play terrorist ball. Because I know fans desperately want that trophy and we really want to get some silverware, but I can't put myself through season after season of the most inane, boring, tedious football just for the sake of some silverware. I would rather that we play an adventurous style, and that's part of why I supported Ange for so long, because it was fun. There was a lot of fun moments. Even when we lost, there were fun opportunities. You could see where it could work and how things could turn around. But lately, it's just been a slog, and I can't deal with that. And to bring a coach in who would bring that kind of philosophy in, oh, let's just play defensive and try to get these one goal wins. That to me is just as bad. So I'd rather pick somebody who would make things fun and would provide something stable where we have a chance at hitting those European places, even if it's not your Jurgen Klopp or Xabi Alonso or Zinedine Zidane or whoever you want to pick. But it needs to be fun. I just can't deal with any of this. What did I just watch? Like I fell asleep for 90 minutes and somehow there was a score.
Right. Right. I mean,
I think
I,
the
I,
biggest
I
question though, of the whole thing is, hey Mike, what you drinking?
man, he came. I love it when you say that, Steve, when you ask that question, but
Look, people are sick and tired of listening to us bitch and moan about Southampton, Ange Postecoglou, terrorist ball. They're here for the fun, and the fun is what you're drinking.
oh
I
boy.
hope.
All right. So let's see. Let's open this. My wife and I went to 14 Star Brewing this weekend.
Yeah, interesting. So we've got a 14th star.
Yeah, 14 Star. I don't know. I don't know if they're still. Yeah, they're veteran owned. Or it's veteran built now. I don't know if they're owned by the same gentleman anymore. Um, but so we went there on Friday just for some drinks. My son was at the school dance, so we decided to go out and have like a little bit of a date evening. Um, and I got to tell you, I took some food home from Grazers. Some just some basic takeaway like a burger, some wings, some fries, and it was all inedible.
Yeah,
So
that was my experience last time I was
I
there.
mean, it was terrible. The burger tasted rotten. Like I I gotta send you these pictures. The quote unquote dry rub on the wings. Oh my god.
Look,
Um,
last time I got a burger there, the bun was so soggy it was like eating a wet bag.
ugh. Just terrible.
Disgusting.
Just
Yeah.
terrible. So I'll not eat there again. All right, but 14th star. 14th star. So this beer is Amy had one and she said I might like it. So I
High
was like,
praise.
immediately right there, I'm like, all right, I'm getting a 4-pack then. It's called Remix.
Remix.
Yep. Remix, quote unquote, hazy IPA.
I haven't heard of that one. I'm interested.
So it's got like a cool record player, and like the needle is a hop, um, and then it says it on the side too. So it's got a cool label, a good coloring on the label. Veteran built, Vermont brewed. Uh, this is it's a theolized IPA.
So it's religious?
No, not in the way that you think I said what I just said. So theols are it's another way for breweries to get nerdy with the science that is beer and fermentation. So theols are like there's sulfur containing compounds, and what they do when they interact with the malted grains that are in the beer and the hops is create like um, extra fruity, aromatic kind of beers. Think like passion fruits and grapefruit, black currant. Like feels are often like found in white wines like Sauvignon Blanc, that kind of those kind of wines. Like the Sauvignon Blanc, the grape skins contain a lot of theols, so which is why that beer is like, or that wine is very super aromatic and super sweet, right? Also super dry at the same time. So these beers are generally like they're brewed with especially yeast strains that kind of they've kind of been bred or made to release these theols that contain the sulfur that help to interact with the hops, and it's supposed to give it like an extra punch. It's like Spinal Tap, this one goes to 11, so
There's
that's
a
what it's kind of
reference.
doing. It's supposed to be turning up that hop volume and that fruitiness volume up to 11. I'm really starting to think that the days of the IPA are numbered. Craft beer is kind of, I
Killed
mean,
it.
I don't know, like a billion different IPAs and half of them taste the same, right? Whew. Yeah.
I gotta say, as I'm staring at this spreadsheet and as you're sniffing that beer, part of me really wants to enable Gemini just so I can actually have an AI model assist in guessing what your rating's going to be. I think I may need to talk to Brian from Rhode Island about whether or not we actually want to use generative AI to see how well it performs at guessing your beer ratings.
That would be certainly interesting.
We got to be on the forefront of this technology. The fans, the dozens of them that listen to us every week, they want something new and exciting. And what other Tottenham Hotspur podcast has generative AI assisting in a ridiculous guessing game over a beer?
Look, there isn't a Tottenham Hotspur podcast that does a beer review. We could be the first to use generative AI. This is brewed with Galaxy and Sabro hops.
Sabre.
Recall, I don't ever recall having a Sabro hop.
What's the ABV on that?
The ABV on that is 5.0, Steve.
Very nice, very nice.
This beer already smells really, really good.
That's not 50, 5.0.
Very citrusy. It smells like grapefruit and orange, honestly, to tell you the truth.
Not bad.
Yeah. Um,
You know what this smells like, by the way? Providence.
it does smell like Providence, even though it's not brewed in Providence. It's brewed in Narragansett.
I know, but Providence just sounds more. I
And
don't know. It's
Providence probably doesn't
interesting.
smell that great unless you're like in Federal Hill, like where the Italian section is.
Fair, fair.
Alrighty, let's get
Here
into
we
this.
go. Let's see what we've got today. I wonder what our fans would guess. That's another one. If only we had like a way for fans to tell us in real time what they think your vote would be. I guess we'll never know.
Um, so straight off the top,
Straight up.
it's overly fizzy. Um,
Ooh.
it's very I don't know, like the volume of the volume of carbonation is kind of like a ginger ale.
Interesting.
Yeah, the beer tastes a little grassy. It doesn't taste the way that it smells. It has a little bit of that like mango on the back end. It's not a terrible beer. It's not a great beer. Um, it's not one of the worst beers I've had. I'm going to drink it. Um, but in the realm of like an IPA or a hazy IPA, coloring, yeah, it's hazy. Um, it does have some decent lacing. If we're gonna get back to that, um,
Lacing.
so like when you're getting that passion fruit and that orange juice, that grapefruit juice smell when you're drinking it, but the back end it's a grassy, overly bitter aftertaste. I'm not enjoying this, and I'm enjoying it less every time I have a sip.
Yeah, it doesn't sound spectacular.
No, I think I don't know. Honestly, I don't like a lot of 14th star beers, and I wouldn't really go. I really like their maple breakfast stout, but I wouldn't really just go choose that in a restaurant or in a bar.
Yeah. So what's the
Since
verdict?
they had a beer called B72, which was like a great double IPA, and they haven't made that in a long time. I don't know if they've retired it or what, but this beer is just a little less than okay.
Yikes. And what's the verdict? What number are you putting on it? My vote is in. Let's see how close I am.
Um, 3.0.
Oh, I was actually close. I was close. I went with 2.9.
I almost said 2.9, but like
Damn.
it's drinkable, but I mean, if I wouldn't, if I went back there, I wouldn't order a glass of it.
That's fair. That's fair. And what about a player? Who is what's a 3 out of 5 player? Who's grassy to you? Who's overly carbonated?
Paid a lot of money for him. Paid a lot of money for him. He's okay at times. He was okay that first season. Davinson Sanchez.
Davinson Sanchez. Interesting. Sancherooney. Have we used Sanchez yet? I don't think so. No, we haven't. Good, good, good. Excellent. So we've got Big Dave Sancho.
Dave Sanchez.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I'm gonna wash down this disgusting taste in my mouth with a delicious Blue Diamond blueberry almond.
There we go. There we go. A forgettable beer for a forgettable game, and this
A
is
player you've almost forgotten.
exactly. And this has been another episode of Hey Mike. That was remixed by 14th Star 3.0. You're better off getting the Blue Diamond flavor almonds. Blue Diamond, where you can enjoy some nuts. I honestly don't know if they make anything else, so I hope that's a decent slogan for them. Anyway, on to the future. We've got more games coming this Thursday. We've alluded to it. We mentioned its importance. Eintracht Frankfurt What are you expecting going into that fixture?
um, I'm expecting us to get fucking pumped. I mean, um, I don't know, honestly. Like we rested a lot of players today. I mean, theoretically, we rested a lot of players today. We had a lot of players out there that we needed to be out there. Um, I really expect us to get completely pumped. Um, I think that Frankfurt, even though like right now they didn't have their last match that they got beat by some nobody team, right? In their league.
Yeah, they did.
That doesn't really mean anything. Like at any point, the worst team can beat the best team, right? I mean, not to say Fulham is shit because they just beat us, but like they did just like Liverpool just you know got beat by Fulham. So
They
like
lost in a
the worst
club
team can beat the
friendly
best team
too.
at any given day, right?
That's
Um,
interesting. So they lost in the league versus VfL Bochum, and then I guess they had a club friendly against SG, is what it has on Google. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but they lost 1-0. Oh god, I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce that. SG Sonnenhof Grossespach.
gross.
Yeah, they are playing in the Oberliga Baden-Württemberg, which is the fifth tier of football. So they lost to a team in their fifth tier in a club friendly 3 days after losing in the league. So yeah, I think
Doesn't
we're
mean
also
anything.
going to get pumped
It
on
doesn't mean it doesn't
Wednesday.
mean anything to me. The
Vermin
one thing is that
Hunsing.
like um as far as like um European games go, like we pretty soundly defeated Alkmaar, right? Like we pretty soundly defeated them.
Mhm.
Um, there were times where Alkmaar could not handle us, right? And that team wasn't gonna lay down, right? Um, I think that like despite like our inconsistent form domestically in the league, uh, I think that like I said before, like the game against Southampton may have served to to kind of pump us up a little bit, but I think that Frankfurt's going to be too much for us on the back end of this fixture when we go there. So you know, I think we have the capability of winning at home, even though we've only won 5 matches in the league at home this year. Six now? Is it six now? Um,
Wait, I'm an idiot. They won versus Bochum. I don't know why I was thinking that they lost.
oh, okay. Well, anyway, that
They
either
oh,
way,
they lost to Werder. That's what it was. They lost 2-0 to Werder Bremen yesterday.
okay.
Google has their matches in a weird order. It's yesterday, and then it's like I don't know. This shit's all over the place, man.
I'm gonna have to fire those fucks in the research department. Google.
Sorry, Brian. You're out of here.
um, so we have some key players, right? Or key players. I think that the two key players are going to be in this are going to and just bear with me here. James Madison's going to be one of them. James Madison is going to be one of them. Uh, he's he's super instrumental in like linking the attack between the defensive midfielders, and the attacking players. Um, he's the guy who can break down teams inside the box. He's like the only guy that we have that can do that. I think the other guy that's going to be really really big in this game, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me here or not, but I think that Wilson Odebear is going to start on the right hand side, and I think he's going to be big in this match. Um, the home fixture. Um, we don't know what's going to happen the following week in the away fixture. but I think that Eintracht has a lot of good players, right? The um I think that we always kind of make fun. We always kind of make fun of the Bundesliga, right? And we call it the Farmers League and all this stuff, like because Harry Kane, who can barely put in 15 goals in his final season. What was it? 15 goals in his final season with us. Um, Goes there and starts scoring 30 goals a season, right? And Lewandowski did that too historically, like famously. Goes to the goes into the Bundesliga with and starts scoring crazy numbers of goals, 30 40 in a season, right, in that league. It doesn't work like that in the Premier League. Lewandowski couldn't play in the Premier League, in my opinion. But so it doesn't mean that they haven't had consistently. The Bundesliga hasn't had consistently good results in European matches, European tournaments. Bayern's always very good. Frankfurt will be good. And I think it's going to be a really, really tough game. And I think that I think that we're going to end up probably bowing out in the second leg of this, but we'll have to see what happens in the first leg. I still think we're gonna get pumped, but that's just the negative Nancy in me, I guess, at this point. I don't
Hey,
I
we don't
don't
have
know
any
that Ange has
positivity on
anything left in the
today.
bag. If he truly is dead man walking, there's nothing for him. What does he have to give?
Just his pride at winning something in his second
Right,
season. That's
like,
literally
yeah.
it.
Is it a requirement for him to win? What is the club doing for him to provide him that motivation? I don't know. If there's no motivation for him to win there, then there's really uh, do they give him a glimmer of hope? Did Levy say, "Hey, you get to keep your job if you win this"? I don't know.
He
I
shouldn't. He's
just
not
like
desperate.
the pessimist in me thinks we're going to get pumped. The optimist in me thinks that we can win the home leg, and we have a great opportunity to do that, to win the home leg, and then maybe try and pull something out. Because I think that's this Frankfurt team is probably the last hurdle before making it to the final of this tournament. Because I think Frankfurt's the best team left in this tournament.
Yeah, I have to agree that the pessimist in me also thinks we're getting pumped. The optimist in me got beat up by the pessimist and chucked in a dumpster, so I've got none of that. I, I do think it's going to be an incredibly difficult game. I don't know if we win it. Like even in the home fixture, I don't know that we have the drive, the motivation. I certainly haven't seen that consistently from players on the pitch. Uh, yes, there are some guys, like I mentioned, Madison looked hungry today, Birdval, Slanky, but I just don't see that consistently over 90 minutes across the field. And if we're going to get a result, this team needs to be locked in from the first minute all the way till the last minute of the second leg. And
We
you
need
know,
Decky.
yeah, and he's not going to be available for at least the first leg, which
Right, correct.
just how it, that in and of itself makes me angry that we managed to get that
Because he
sweet
played
Swedish ginger over.
335,000 minutes
Fair, yeah.
while probably injured.
It sucks. It sucks that because that would have been a great opportunity to have him, and I do feel that the team misses his presence when he's not available. But
I miss his
if
presence.
Madison can show up and continue to show that drive and that hunger, maybe we can get something from it. But again, it's got to be a team effort. No single player on Tottenham Hotspur is going to pull the team. We just don't have that type of player. So if the team can't come together and gel as a whole, then this is where we bow out. But I do think that we have the talent, we have the ability to progress. I really do. I think we could win the Europa League if we played consistently and if we played with our patented high energy, high octane football across the entire competition. So it can't just be a tale of two halves. It can't just be we do well at home and then hope for the best away. It has to be give it 110% the entire time or don't bother showing up.
I mean, this is the a perfect opportunity to show that like we still have a little bit of fight left in us, right? And we have, you know, we have to get that establish the lead at home in the first leg.
Early too. I don't
Yeah,
think
early on, right? Yeah,
yeah.
both of these teams are like, I guess for lack of a better phrase, like highly attacking teams, right? They both have shown like superior attacking prowess. Um, Tottenham tends to again leave that midfield open, which is a problem. So you got to be really, really solid defensively, and that's why you need Mickey's legs out there. You're going to need Romero to maybe not be so bold and push us forward as he kind of did today when you saw what it looks like when a center back is playing center forward.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, obviously, like some solid defensive strategies are going to be crucial in both of these legs, but absolutely in the first leg. And I just don't know that Ange has defensive strategy at all. So we could be in for what my fuckwits group loves to call the Zooropa matches, in which we call it the Zoo because Europa League generally has these crazy high scoring back and forth just crazy boxing matches on the football pitch. So but let's see what happens, man. I say the team needs to go out there and play with a chip on their shoulder and act like everybody's against them and pull something out of their ass, because like there's nothing left for us fans. I want to have something to talk about on this podcast for the rest of the season, and we got at least 7 to 8 weeks left.
That would be nice. But follow-up question, how many of our players are going to be injured going into the Wolves fixture on Sunday?
I don't care.
But it's Wolves. That's another team that we should win.
But we will not.
No. Nope. I have even less faith against Wolves than I do against Frankfurt. Wolves are, by the way, a worse team than Frankfurt. But of the two matches, I feel more confident that Spurs show up in Europe than they do in the league. So despite Frankfurt being the better team, I think Spurs have the better chance of getting the result against Frankfurt than I do against Wolves.
There we go.
Yeah. So how about some closing thoughts? We are getting to the hour mark here, Mike. What would you like to leave us with today?
Again, a little bit of a PSA for you guys. Just tell your friends about us. If they just want kind of a laid back podcast, they want to listen to other people bitch about Tottenham Hotspur or get excited about Tottenham Hotspur. If from an American point of view, an American who never played soccer, doesn't know his ass from his elbow when it comes to soccer, and a guy from New Jersey who loves soccer, and sometimes a guy from Rhode Island who loves soccer. Listen,
and our generative AI Winks,
and AI Winks, who pops in to tell us things when he knows we're on a podcast. If you want to tell your friends about us, and if you haven't done it yet, make sure you go to your favorite podcast platform, get on there, hit that little spokey wheel thing, the little gear, The second that you hit that, there's going to be an option to auto download. Do that, and if you want to, you just it's going to tell you every single time. You can set it up so that it tells you that Wicked Spursy has been downloaded, and that it's ready for you. And generally, you'll get your episodes of Wicked Spursy on Monday morning. And if you don't get that on Monday morning, it's because we have had personal conflicts and have recorded a day late, sometimes 2 days late. But I'm going to tell you what, this week you will definitely get a reaction pod out of it. We just call the reaction pods instant whatever, instant ramen, instant potatoes, instant rice, whatever it is. We call it instant. And it's just a kind of an instant reaction. Usually happens like an hour later after I have time to decompress and so I'm not screaming into the microphone. But yeah, you're definitely going to get one this week. So I will guarantee that. So yeah, auto download, listen for our bonus episodes when we do them. They're usually only 15, 20 minutes long. They don't contain your favorite segment, which is Hey Mike. But definitely
That's
auto
my
download.
favorite segment.
Auto download, tell your friends, and you can find us on Blue Sky and Instagram.
Very nice, very nice. My final thoughts are going to be maybe less helpful to us, but I just need to get it off my chest. And that is the absolutely ridiculous, annoying, frustrating decision by Tottenham Hotspur to host Chris Brown at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That is such a tone deaf performance to put on in that stadium. I mean, for a team that wants to be positive and focused on fans and community and being a good example and doing things right. You've got our chairman constantly talking about being a self-sustaining club, doing things the right way. Chris Brown is not the right way to do things. You should not give a platform, especially one as well designed as Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, to an abuser at all, bar none. Just end of story. The fact that they are, parading him out there in our stadium, it just sickens me. It's absolutely disgusting, and it just goes to show how for $1, we'll sell out to whatever as long as it brings in that revenue. And again, we talked about it last week with the ethics and morality around money in the game, and this to me is a perfect example of where I can talk about how much I love the club, and I love watching the team, and I love getting on this to talk with you about it every week. But at the same time, I think it's an absolutely deplorable decision to bring somebody like Chris Brown into the stadium and give him any kind of a platform at all. It's just not somebody who we should be associated with as a club. It's not somebody who should be given the opportunity to perform at our stadium. And frankly, it's 2025. We shouldn't be talking about him as anything other than an abuser at this point. End of story.
Here. Don't be a fascist.
Yes, that's another good one. Don't be a fascist. God, that hits hard. Are we going to get like black bagged and sent to El Salvador now, Mike?
I don't know. I hope not. I hope that people. I think that right now people are starting to see what's happening. We are American, but we're not those Americans. That's what I'm going to say.
I got to give it to so for those of you who might not be aware, there was a nationwide day of protest yesterday. I think this is probably a nicer thing to end on than
the hands off, right?
Yeah. Abuser. Yeah, hands off. There were protests in every major city, but beyond that, some of the smaller cities, even in Vermont, had massive turnouts. Massive. And I'm talking like what was it? I think Brattleboro boasted 2,000 people out of a population of 12,000 showing up to protest, which is just unreal. Montpelier had some bipartisan support, actually. Our Republican lieutenant governor was there to speak words of support for the protest and kind of call out the administration for their shenanigans, which, Great.
The place where our revolution began, in the 1700s, Boston. Um, huge numbers,
Yeah, New
huge
York
numbers.
City. I feel like somebody quoted that there was literally 1 solid mile of people in New York City protesting,
Yeah, it's
which
great.
is it's insane. There are places that you hear about where there,
Peaceful protesting.
yeah, no riots, no violence, at least none that has been reported thus far. I'm sure there was probably a scuffle here or there, but certainly nothing large scale. And you know what? They let our voices be heard. I've seen stories of civilians trying to help with traffic because, especially in Vermont, a lot of these towns just don't have the police presence to handle the numbers that we were seeing here, which is just very refreshing. But to have members of the community kind of step up and try to help keep people safe as well, that to me is super reassuring. I loved to see all these folks out there with their creative signs, speaking up, speaking loud, letting their voices heard. And it's, to me, it's great that so many people are taking a stand for a lot of the injustices, because frankly, the way that the international community looks at us, I don't blame them at all. I've been following the Buy Canadian movement lately, and you know what? I cheer on every victory they have, because
Unless it's maple
they
syrup.
deserve it, except maple syrup. But that's it just holds a special place in our
That
heart.
argument will be adjudicated on Memorial Day, May 25th, at Virtue
Yes,
Field.
for the second annual Maple Cup. So excited for that. But
Um, it's
anyway,
it's better than yours. It's
it's
better than
better than
yours.
yours.
Our
Our
maple
maple
syrup.
syrup, it's better
It's
than
better than
yours.
yours.
Yes. Anyway, that brings us
Let's
to the conclusion of Wicked Spursy. If I were to leave just a couple more words, Mike, I would start by saying, coys, 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 coys.
and
Don't be an asshole. And Mike, passing it over to you for one last time, what will you leave us with?
I would just leave it with guys. It's springtime out there. I know you want to get out there, start doing crazy things, but guess what? It's New England. There's snow coming on Tuesday. Be out there. Go out there in your daily lives. Be safe, and as always, protect your mental health.
And
Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic. Something went wrong. Of course it did.
what went wrong?